InvestorIdeas.com podcast.
Good afternoon and welcome to another InvestorIdeas.com podcast following cannabis news, stocks to watch, as well as insights from thought leaders and experts. From Las Vegas at this year's biggest MJBizCon show to date, from the first ever Podcasters Row, today's podcast features an interview with Elad Barak, Director of Business and Development and Fundraising of Province Brands of Canada, which is a Canadian company developing the world's first beers brewed from the cannabis plant.
So I'm here with Elad Barak, the Head of Business Development over at Province Brands. You're obviously here at MJBizCon. What are you guys really looking forward to attending this conference, and what are your big expectations of coming here?
So to be honest, we came here because we got a lot of our investors or potential investors calling us and asking if we'll be here and if we can meet with them. And while it's almost the end of the second day, I have been only 1 hour inside the booths, and all the rest was just meeting after meeting.
That seems to be the general consensus. I think a lot of people came here for the networking aspect, meeting a lot of the people. It's sort of the midway ground for a lot of people, right? Coming from all different areas.
Yeah. So we have investors from all around the world. Obviously Toronto is our backyard, and we have a few investors from there. But in the end of the day, need to have them from more locations. And we've been flying around the world in our roadshow right now while we're raising funds. And the word kind of spreads out, and we can't reach everywhere. So some people come here to Vegas and ask us if we're going to be here. And you know what? If I have 6 different meetings or 7 different meetings, I'll just come in, right? And they're just coming up more and more and more. And my team is saying, another meeting tomorrow morning, and it's great.
Yeah, that sounds like it's good for you guys, and I mean, that seems to be the general consensus of these types of conferences. We last talked at the Extraordinary Future Conference in Vancouver. Since then, obviously, legalization has come through in Canada. How has that affected your guys' company, or what are you planning on doing with that? Now that that's in full swing, how does that affect your company moving forward?
Well, right now, especially since legalization till today from our company, one of the biggest tasks we have is going public and raising the funds for that. We're in the middle of a raise of $30 million. And it affected from a few ways. First, as I said, not all of the investors are Canadian, and everybody in the world talked about the legalization. And I was in Japan on the day of legalization, and they had it in the bullet trains on the screens, and it was awesome. I landed in the airport, and that's what I'm seeing. And a lot of the investors that I met with there were kind of afraid, but the fact that it was legalized that day really relieved it, and eventually we also got a bunch of investors from there. And I think Japan is a good example because people there are, it's the most taboo from most countries that we visited. So that really helped in the international aspect of people to really understand that this happened. It's reality. It's not a dream that they're hearing about. And also, it affected a bit of the markets, which obviously affected us as we're raising money. But now when the markets are stabilizing and, people are starting to see that at the end of the day there was not enough supply. And I think that's the big headline of legalization, not what happened with a few shares after it.
Yeah.
I think investors are starting to understand, where the market is going.
Yeah, and I mean, that does seem to be the general trend is as legislation changes, not only in Canada, but a lot changed in the States as well with the recent election. And I think it's giving investors and people who aren't already involved in the industry a lot more confidence. This conference is a good example. It's getting bigger every year, and this one I think has around 25 to 30,000 people attending it. So.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting about this event here is that we're in a country where it's federally not legal, and there's about 25,000 people here that are representing businesses of billions of dollars, and it's all not legal federally. And we're just walking in the streets here, and I don't want to even talk about the amount of people that are just smoking weed outside of this building.
So obviously, you guys, I think the biggest step for your company obviously will be to get the funding to go public, but also the next big step is going to be the change in legislation next year, where we're going to have the consumable market, hopefully, in Canada. Is that the big sort of anticipatory moment for you guys, or is it more focused on the States or different parts of the world?
No, absolutely. We want to start in Canada, and we're manufacturing in Canada. We have to remember, we can't export out of Canada something that's not legal in Canada yet. So even if it's legal somewhere else, we can't do something illegal in Canada. So we're expecting legalization, as I said before, for the fundraising, more even for our product itself. That's our backyard. That's our place to learn. That's our place, to get the basic of our brand, and our followers. So we're definitely expecting that market, and we've started, I think it started exactly around the last conference, so I'm pretty sure we talked about it, but we have leased a facility in Grimsby, Ontario, and we started building our facility, and we're going to be ready before legalization to manufacture and brew our product over there, and from there ship to Ontario and the rest of Canada, the first world's beer brewed out of cannabis. Eventually, obviously, yes, we want to take it to the States when it's fairly legal there, and to Europe, and to countries that legalize it, and everywhere. We just had a meeting with an Australian investor that wants to take it as an exclusivity to Australia. So a lot of interest around the world.
Yeah, and I mean, the big talk is around beverages in the cannabis space right now. I mean, not specifically on beer made from that product, which is you guys. You're very individual in that regards. But are you finding that momentum that's going around the beverage consumable area is aiding your company, or is it almost oversaturating the market?
I'll share from my experience from the last few days. So I landed in Las Vegas, and I really wanted to see a dispensary here because there's a bigger variety of products in the States compared to Canada. And in the first dispensary, I only found 2 beverages. One is a non-alcoholic beer infused with marijuana. The other one is just a beverage with marijuana. I went to another nice dispensary. It's the size of a football court, right? Like, it's crazy. And found another few beverages, and I wanted to do a market research. I bought them. I only had a chance to open 2 of them till now. But I put them in a row. One beer, the rest are just these other products, and I have to tell you, it hit me right away. Like, the beer is the only thing that's going to succeed. The only thing. I mean, one of them was it's like a Kool-Aid. You need to add it and add mixed water. And, I'm not there. I'm not 5 years old anymore. And the other one is like a shot. And each one was something else. But, the beer was just so natural. And I don't know, I'm not a beer drinker, but I drank it with other people that were drinking beer. And I just felt part of them. Finally I have that beer to be with other people. And
it's a social element.
Yeah, and while it was a competitor, I'll tell you, the effect was nice, and the atmosphere around it, and beer is absolutely the way to go. And I truly believe that the fact that our beer will be brewed from cannabis and not infused will make it more authentic, and we'll have our followers, and it will be the premium product in this category of beer that gets you high instead of gets you drunk.
Absolutely. And with that in mind, I would say that beer is going to be one of the bigger markets, and even most actual beer producers today agree with that. Some of them have been quoted saying that the biggest threat to their finances over the next coming years is the cannabis market. And I would definitely agree with that. Would you say that that's something that helps get investors involved in your company, is knowing that that's where the market's going? Or are you guys worried that other competitors are going to try and swoop you up?
No, on the contrary. And I mean, when this will be published, there will only probably 2 press releases from Province Brands about co-packing agreements that we did with breweries that understand that, it's great that there are breweries that sell alcoholic beer, but the market is shifting to cannabis. And if they want to keep the same market share they have or even expand, they better move into cannabis. And we signed a few deals, and now we're starting to announce it, but in the next week or 2, there's going to be 2 press releases of 2 breweries in Ontario that have signed with us co-packing deals for us to brew beer for them. So there's definitely interest of them getting into the market, and, we don't need to look anywhere else. We know as a fact that it's happening, and we can support it, and it's great for us.
So that relates into my final question, which is that the last time we talked, I remember you talked about your story of you guys going around to the different brewmasters in the States and as well in Canada and almost getting laughed out of the room for the concept of how to do this.
Yeah.
Now that you guys have this viable product, you have the proofs in the pudding, this is going to work, and also legalization is en route, everything's going, the momentum's in your favor. Are you finding that a lot of those people who maybe were skeptical before have changed their minds and are looking now at this? Obviously, you guys just have that co-pack with a couple brewing companies. Is that a growing trend, or are the exceptions to the rule?
That's a very interesting question, and you know what? I don't think this is the answer you're expecting, but this is what I see. A lot of people that we talk with, when they get the vision, they're in. If you get the vision, you understand it. You understand that everybody that's not doing what we're doing, they're not going to have the premium product. And if you're not doing beer, you're not in the right direction. They get it. The ones that are skeptical are always there. We are brewing now our first batch that's going to be alcoholic, not THC. It's something that we can do legally before beverages become legal in Canada. So we're doing it from hemp. So there's no THC, no CBD, no phytocannabinoids. It's going to be ready early 2019. And we're already in the process, and that's going to prove all the skepticals that are still left there that we can do it. And I can tell you right now that we've just finished some of the testing for the work material, and we're doing really well, and it's going to be able to produce a beer with 7% alcohol. And we're going to, all of the skepticals around they're going to have the answer.
Well, I definitely wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the conference. It was nice chatting with you.
That's all for today's podcast. Podcast is now a certified word trademark on the blockchain through Cognate Incorporated CM certification. InvestorIdeas.com podcasts are also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, and TuneIn. If you'd like to be a guest or sponsor of this podcast, please contact InvestorIdeas.com. Investor Ideas reminds all listeners to read our disclaimers and disclosures on the InvestorIdeas.com website, and this podcast is not an endorsement to buy products or services or securities. Investors are reminded that all investments involve risk and possible loss of investment. Investor Ideas does not condone the use of cannabis except where permissible by law. Our site does not possess, distribute, or sell cannabis products.